Hi guys, this is Aaron Lathan of Lathan Investment Properties located here in Houston, Texas, and I just wanted to follow up with a quick video for a blog that I wrote yesterday. So I inherited a property, what can I do next? So real quick, if you inherited a property, that means that it actually went through and made its way through the courts to actually become your property, and that process is known as the probate process. So just a real quick recap for those that don't necessarily know what a probate process is. That is when someone passes away and they have physical assets in their name. So that could be a car, that could be baseball cards, that could be any kind of collectible. But in my particular interest, that is a home. So if someone passes away and they have a home in their name, that property is a part of their estate, and that estate goes through what is known as probate. So just as a part of this life, at some point in time or another, you're going to deal with it. I dealt with it with my dad when he passed away. My family dealt with it with my grandmother when she passed away. With my mother-in-law, me and my wife had to deal with that issue, or with the probate process during that time as well. So I've dealt with it a few times, and I'm a pretty young man, and I've had to deal with it a few times. So just keep living, and eventually, you'll come in contact with it. It's gonna find you. Hopefully not too many times, but it's found me a few times in the few short years of me being an adult. So it's not anything that we can avoid, unfortunately. No matter what your belief system is, at some point in time, you're going to clock out and you're going to go to wherever it is that your belief is, you're going to go. And in my case, and in my wife's case, we own a house. So if we don't have a will, or if we do have a will, that property that we own and those cars that we own and those things that we own need to go through a probate process. And that's just the means of the world and the people left behind. So the court systems make determinations on what goes where and how fast they go. So say, for example, my townhome that I own in San Antonio, if I pass away and I don't have a will, the courts will have to make a determination of, hey, does his wife get this? At some point in time, maybe down in the future, does his kids get this? Like it's a whole proceeding that they'll have to handle and they'll have to take care of. Especially if I don't appoint like a personal representative or an executor of my estate. If you have all those things in place, however, the probate process is pretty simple. If you have an executor or a personal representative taking care of your estate, then things go pretty quickly. And that was what happened basically in the case of my mother-in-law. My wife was the signed power of attorney, basically running everything after she passed away. And when my mom was in her right mind, she made my wife the personal representative of her estate. So anything that my wife wanted to do, needed to do with her finances or with her assets once she passed on is what was done. Same thing with my grandmother. My mom was the personal representative for my grandmother, and she made the final decisions, and she's the baby, or the second from the baby. And she made the final decisions of who got what cars, who got what house, and who got et cetera, et cetera. So it's not anything to run from. Hopefully you don't have to deal with it too many times in your life, but it's something that does happen. So real quick, what are your options? Now that you have this property and it's in your possession, well, you own it. So do you want to be a landlord? Do you want to keep that property? Does it need maintenance to get to a rentable level, which in most cases it is. Let's say, someone lived a long, full life. They pass away 70, 80 years old. The house is probably old, probably has old shag carpet, wood paneling. I know that's what my grandmother's condition was. It didn't have central heating and air. So it was one of those things where it was just a really old house. My grandfather helped build it with his own hands. So it was just a really old house. And that's the case in most cases where the person that left the home behind was elderly. That's just the case. But can you afford to renovate it to get it to a certain point where it's rentable and you can make a good amount of money off of it? If you can't, you might want to think about your next option, which is selling it to someone like myself, who is an investor that does have the ability and the connections to give you a fair cash offer, considering the fact that it needs to be renovated, and get you out of that property and get you out of being a landlord. If you go the route of trying to sell it yourself, and let's say it's in a neighborhood that is a great neighborhood, that is, let's say, a $250,000 neighborhood, but the house is super old and you just don't have $50,000 to $75,000 to do a new kitchen, do new bathrooms, do new hardwood floors, to do all the things necessary, and it's probably old, so do a new roof, do new AC units. You just don't have the money to do those things. That's when someone like myself can step in and say, hey, we can give you a fair cash offer just to get out of this property. You don't have to be a landlord. You don't have to deal with finding tenants. You don't have to be a property manager. We can get you out of this property fast. We can get you out of this property fairly, and we can get you out now. And I think that's the best bet for you if you fall within those two scenarios. If you don't want to be a landlord and you just absolutely don't have the cash to get it to a rentable level and or a sellable level where you'll get top dollar, I think you just need to take a fair cash option from someone like myself at Lathan Investment Properties. And my links will be in the description. We would love to give you a no hassle, fair, fast quote. I can give you something within 24 hours if you give me a call, man. I'll give you whatever you need. If you have any questions or concerns, comment in the comment section below. Like the page, share this video if it was good content for you and you liked what I had to say. If you have any questions, hit me up in the comment section. I'll give you a reply as soon as I see it. And this is me signing out. See you next time. Peace.